What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to Slade TV. We back for another market watch, and this time I'm just going to switch it up a little bit. I think let's go through all of the sets one by one and kind of compare the value of each set since the start until now. So, we're already 9 sets in, time flies, and, it's kind of like a weird thing because usually I go from high to low, and sometimes maybe I'll just focus on the new meta cards or what's like really shooting up. But I think it'll be unique to kind of scale back and look at every set individually and kind of take it from there. And I just want to take a moment to say shout out RP Law, unban the boy, he did nothing wrong. So let's get into it with Romance Dawn. Now we've got the manga Shanks. Lightly played foil is kind of like $760. What's the real price? This is the real price, I guess. So 820. I mean, he kind of ended up right where he started. So when Romance Dawn originally came out after the initial like 500 steady line, he was kind of like an $800 card. And then during like that first initial boom, where people didn't know what like the chase cards were going to go for and everything started going parabolic, it was kind of like this was a $2,200 card. In hindsight, I'm kind of glad I never bought this card. I did go and cycle through. I've bought so many mangas, sold so many mangas, and I'm kind of glad because this one had a pretty big drop, and it's still surprising because it's the first one, right? So I think long term, if you pick up the first manga card ever in the game, that kind of gives it the same standing as like the Charizard and Pokemon, right? Like, or the original Blue Eyes White Dragon. It's just like the chase card of the first ever set of the game. One Piece has withstood the test of time, and it's kind of growing, and new players are still coming in. The game is fun, so it wouldn't be the worst. It wouldn't be the worst, investment, I think, now at this price. So it's probably going to shoot up moving forward. So let's see. Just because this is one of those sets that you should kind of gauge the price of the box. We're at $1,200 for a blue bottom first wave. This is also like a sealed grail. It's the first one, right? So that kind of doesn't need to be explained. Blue Dofi, it's probably the best and smartest leader they released in the sense that it's a top meta deck right now, a year and a half later, and this card is $235, which is kind of like a crazy price. Um, Phenomenal artwork. Like this is just such a good looking card, and a lot of the game is well thought out because a lot of the leaders from the first ever set could still be played today. They're not completely obsolete. So it's kind of great to see, this Zoro. Yo, what the hell? What? This Zoro is $360. Like, I know this deck is still good, but damn. I mean, he's a straw hat, right? So I'm guessing that I'm surprised that that's a Japanese, bro. 235. Okay. So all right, we could dial it back a little bit and just say that any leader from the original set is probably going to end up going for a lot of money. They're very iconic characters, and I actually find it kind of interesting that this Odin, which is completely useless as a leader, that this Odin was like part of the initial set, just because it was called Romance Dawn. Maybe this leader should have been another straw hat. I think like maybe Sanji could have been a good leader also. And let's move on to some waifus now. So this Yamato, she's back up to 75. I literally scooped this for like $30 last month. So kind of the scarcity mindset is kind of starting to spread in this game again. This Zoro, I told you guys I love this card. Anything that I kind of brushed up on last week, I'm going to try to avoid right now. Like I said, this card has to still be severely undervalued. So this one, because of Blue Dofi, we don't really see box toppers go this high. But, given how scarce OPO1 is again, it makes sense. This is a card that I was very surprised actually for the longest time. This ended up becoming a $30 card. It was initially an $80 card, and it's still only sitting at 40. The thing is, Blue Dofi is kind of in the meta holding Boa back, and if he's banned in the upcoming list, all of these Boa cards are probably going to skyrocket because blue players are probably going to shift over, at least for mono blue. You're going to either play Nami or you're going to play Boa. And because she's such a waifu, basically number two, right? So this card is pretty much a safe stonk, if you ask me. And I've always the find it. I've almost found these like lower priced alts to be such good deals because at the end of the day, like a hit is a hit. This Sanji right here, he has kind of just regulated back. He was like a $27 card a couple months ago, and he's slowly shooting back up. This Sanji is to this day a red staple. You could kind of use him in any red deck, and a lot of the times, starving is a very normal strategy against a lot of decks, and I think every color should have a card that kind of lets you combat that, and then that's what this card is for red. I think it's a little high, but considering how fire this artwork is, bro, like they really they really took the time and effort for all of the artworks in the original cards. So, okay, second page. Oh yeah, all these cards are pretty much kind of going back up. These were always like lower priced alts. I think cards like this are the perfect cards to kind of scoop for your binder. It's a low investment. It looks great. And, it's one leader announcement or support announcement away from, turning into a $50 card. That's usually how it goes. So let's move on from Romance Dawn. I guess we can say, Romance Dawn has aged very well. And, it holds up to the name of being the first set. It's a lot of iconic cards. Me personally, I think this is the first set that I got into when I started One Piece. But if you ask me, this set is like very shit. I don't think this is a good set personally. I know it does focus on a lot of the film cards, right? It introduces the film cards, these two cards, the Luffy and the Nami. They're still staples, kind of. Uh, Actually, I take that back. They're not really staples, but they're just they're just good cards, for any film that involves green. So they're gonna hold their value because they're Nami and Luffy, and then at the same time, they're going to, kind of be part of this film archetype that's gonna keep going. Borsalino is back up, which is kind of crazy because I feel like this card dated very horribly in the sense that no one seems to be playing him. There was a point in the game that, this was the blocker. This was like the black card that you need. And maybe Sabo kind of, decommissioned him a little bit. But I think that if you had scooped this when it was a $20 alt, it was a really great time because to snag a playset of these, if you get it like off TCG, for like a little under $80, that's a really nice pickup. I think any alt that's kind of in the realm of staple-ish can be used in any deck. If you find that card for under $20 and it's an alt, I think it's safe. If you like the card, especially, or if you think you're gonna play it in the future, you might need it for a deck that you like. It's a very safe bet to always scoop a playset. I'm also like I like having playsets of alts. I think that it just makes the deck more fun, right? Unless you're gonna run like a bunch of decks. This card is also just steady been at $10 for like the entire history of the time it's been around. And even this, I think this is a great SR. A lot of the times I really like the regular SR alts arts, and it's a good time to get an original. This was at one point like, this card was really expensive at one point. Look at a 6 month snapshot, right? 16, $17. What was its peak though? Yeah, this was a $50 card at one point. So if you have a chance, an opportunity to get this card for $2, just grab it, put it in the pocket, keep it pushing. Same with the Kuzan. But we didn't really have much to talk about on this set. For me personally, like I said, I think this set is like kind of dog shit. So, we could just really stop and stare at this for half a second. A whole binder could get filled up with this card. That's all I'm going to say. Let's move on. Pillars of Strength. This is another kind of triggety set. The only thing is it aged well meta wise. I think it had like its moments where eventually a lot of cards from this set just ended up becoming staples. So, of course, this Nami leader's kind of been in this price point, but steady shooting up for a while. Just, it's a Nami leader. There's not really much to say about here. Wanted Luffy. I really love the Wanted poster arts. If they're SPs, and if I had the choice, like if I was building a deck that I'm gonna max rarity or something like that, or semi rarity, because you have championship cards too. So when you use the term max rarity, you kind of people are gonna be like, oh, so you're running championship Sanjis? It's like, no, I'm just running alt art Sanjis. This card has more than doubled. I definitely let go of this playset at a price that I shouldn't have, but I kind of checked out of the green archetype. I feel like I didn't want to really play green because it wasn't my playstyle. It's a little boring, but definitely have some remorse on getting rid of this. Katakuri alt, another just staple. I've never really been a fan of the effect or seen how it's really good, but I'm also not a yellow player. But I've always like been curious, like whenever people play him and it's fine, they put one of my cards at the top of my life. It's just like, I feel like it's okay, you know. I would rather just be playing Shanks and play a Ben Beckman and trash anything, and not give you more life. That's just me though. Anyway, this pudding alt, she's kind of been at this price for a while. I would definitely would and should scoop a playset of this just because this, like the big mom alts, are hideous. They be giving her the wildest disrespectful alts. Like, this is just a horrible picture to look at. You know what I'm saying? So, Khalifa, that's good milk right there. Someone selling this playset for 26 each. She was like a solid $40 card at some point. And, you know, it's a 2K counter. You could really hold on to a playset of this if you're ever gonna play black, or I don't know. She went down for a reason. It's like outside of like the Lucci, it's kind of tough. It's kind of tough to run her. But this cat is back to 16, 17. It's kind of crazy because PRB was supposed to really like change the paradigm of the game and make things affordable, and it did for some cards. But at the end of the day, it kind of like, the things that are gonna go up are gonna go up. You can't make enough of like certain cards that everybody wants because you got to print like other shit along with it. So besides that, like Kaya is just a staple, blue staple. But yeah, this is also like kind of a lackluster set. Like just looking at it, so I was never a fan. And last set, this set is like on the brink of lackluster, but the SPs and the leaders in this set are so fire that this set kind of like aged well in my opinion. It brought back this Sabo, even after announcing like he has like a kind of pseudo reprint coming. He's still a $17 SR, and probably the most unprinted SR in the game so far, right? Like people were thinking that this card was going to be a reprint in PRB, and it should have been. It never was. You know, you got this. This is like probably the best looking card in One Piece, to be honest. Like, you know, just like it's just really nice to look at. Like this leader art, they got her dressed like this with her father in the back. That's crazy work, but this leader has shot up. Like this looks like Mozart. No, not Mozart. Like Leonardo da Vinci painted this picture of Whitebeard right here. Like it's just so realistic looking. Every alt, this is a yellow staple. Damn, she shot up as well. Yellow is kind of on the rise again, right? Because of all the new announcements. So it's really a guessing game as to what's gonna end up really being run in Nami. But overall, you know, all yellow cards can kind of fly right now. We got this Monkey D. Luffy. He was, I think, Blue Black Usopp kind of made this card shoot up, and it's a really fire alt. I remember I got this alt and the SRs of this card for like $5. Like the alt was $5, and then the SRs like cost nothing. And then one day it was randomly like a $40 card when they did the announcement. Sell it. It's like you're getting the money you spend back on other stuff in the game back for free. So that's why I say, like, when you see certain cards and alt arts like under $5, it doesn't hurt to grab one here and there, especially like let's say you're buying something on TCG and the seller also has a $5 alt. It doesn't hurt to just scoop it because maybe one day that card that you wanted that you were buying will end up being free from the alt that you didn't want that you bought for $5 going up, right? Because of the meta. I think this Beiji card is sick. Like this is just a sick alt. I love when they do like those random hyper realistic alt arts. And damn, they got this Sakazuki. Yo, it's this one up too. Yeah, basically it's an SP, right? Grabbing any card that's one of four in 12 boxes for $30, it's a no-brainer just from like a mathematical perspective, right? Now, second page. Yeah, I mean there's good cards in this set. This Don is like one of the more fire Don that we've seen. I mean, this is the type of alt you scoop randomly, right? Like if they ever drop a Baroque Works leader deck, purple's really good in general. So, this people were buying this card for $1, bro. This is a hit. That's the crazy thing about ripping boxes. I haven't ripped boxes in a while because like you could spend $200 on a box and get this. You got to just hold that thing, at that point. But that's just like so crazy. But this is like kind of where things really pick up. This set was my first case that I ripped because I was just like, yo, this set is bonkers, This is the first time they announced multiple mangas, the signature, the kaleidoscope, which ended up being basically my favorite SP art style, the kaleidoscope, which they continued. So, not much really needs to be said about OPO5 except that it is a little like the prices are a little shisty. Like, yo, this is good pick-uppery right here. You scoop this playset, you play Bello Betty, you have alts in there. It's pretty. You feel good playing it. I remember when this card was low. I remember when this card was high. I think that this Eustace Kid is just so outshined by the SP and OPO7 that it's hard to justify running this card when you could run that SP. That's like probably, I think I've said it multiple times on market watches and stuff. It's definitely like my favorite SP. So I'm surprised this card is so cheap, right? It's such a good looking card. Scoop that for your binder, Scoop that for your binder and keep it pushing. But like, yeah, I mean the chase cards, we already did the high end last week. If you want to catch like, the overview of the high ends, then feel free. I kind of covered all of these last week, so just for the sake of time, Let's go to Wings of a Captain. Now, this is a set that aged like wine because it was fire when it came out, and it is still fire. And I think a lot of the cards are like undervalued, right? Gecko's dropping again because every time there's talks of a ban list, he's always on the chopping block. So just like a week and a half or 2 weeks ago, whenever this is, yeah, damn, like yeah, January, like early January, I was eyeing this card. I was eyeing this card because I was like, yo, I have like basically all the waifu SPs. I'm missing this one. Let me work on scooping it soon. I was kind of facilitating scooping some other stuff, but this was on the hit list too. And by the time I got around to saying, all right, let me scoop a Rebecca, this was like at a price that I don't want to pay for this. If it ever gets really expensive and it's not coming down, and it's basically the only, waifu SP I don't have, fine, right? Then we'll talk. But, I had two of these. This is such a nice card, like the background, the art. Shout out to Hattori Kyoka, right? Like that's a really nice art. All the introducing Reiju, that was my first deck that I like really played with. I still think this Hiyori is nicer than the one from PRB. So, this thing is, a lot of people started posting theirs, but the lowest verified is $35. This was a $15 card, like not too long ago. This Nami, they introduced the treasure rare. She was like $250. Went all the way down to like 15, sitting at 31. I think that's a fair price for her. I think anytime there's a treasure rare and it's under 50, 40, if it's under $40, it's pretty much a safe scoop. There was a lot of good milk in this set. I also think this Reiju is nicer than the one in PRB. You know, uh, this is like this falls into that category of just like beautiful cards, right? Like you could just look at that all day, and she's making like direct eye contact right there. So you could really stare at that thing all day. Perona, like a lot of milky leaders in this set between like these two and the SPs and stuff. Zoro, Hody, Gecko. This is a banger set. This is a banger set. I scooped a bunch of these camis. I even got one for free when this was like $3. That's what I'm kind of talking about. I'll probably hold on to it for now, but once Jinbei comes out, she's gonna be like super expensive. That's when you kind of let her go. Shiraya, shout out RP Law, like in the beginning of the video. The fall of this card needs to be studied. The Shovel Knight, right? So this Tashigi's actually finally not $5. Um, Good card, it's just like a card that looks nice in your binder. This is like again one of those portraits, right? Like they did that boy Shanks justice. He's not this pretty, but they really like just aura farming Shanks. They just kept moving on that. Now let's go to EBO1. This set is actually like kind of insane to me because at the time that it came out, this set was so shit. And something told me, and when I say something, it was my boy who owns a card shop. So, good intel, but something told me that I got to stop saying something told me. My boy told me, who runs a card shop, he said that this set is severely short printed. It's really meant to be a buffer, and for that reason, it's going to be extremely valuable. And in hindsight, after a little bit of time passed, virtually every single card in this set is a staple. Like, every single card in this set, and the set was literally an extra booster. Like, it ended up just providing all the proper supports for every other color and kind of, just boosting decks, boosting colors. So just because this video is getting long, this is going to be the last set we're going to talk about. It's a great last set to talk about. This is jam-packed. So let's just start at the top. Bond Clay, just it's kind of siphoning out of being a staple because like a lot of the purple decks aren't playing this anymore from what I've seen. But that doesn't matter. But this alt is still $115. It's had its highs and lows in like the realm of, and maybe at its lowest it was 80, at its highest it was 170. That only lasted like a day. No one was trying to pay that much for this card. But, basically, and this is like super high too for what it is. Me personally, if like I've had a playset of Bond Clays and I had to get the alts because it's Nami, right? I cannot play a deck that has four of a card that's Nami and I don't alt it. Like I have to do it. It just sucks, I don't make the rules, I just enforce them. Flomp, this is strictly, purely the new Nami announcement. She was kind of still expensive a little while ago. She was a $35 card because of Black Yellow Luffy. And because of the Nami announcement, this is like one of the only cards that's like a safe bet that this is definitely going to be a four of in that deck. And for that reason, shot up to like 75, back down to 50. I scooped up a playset of this for like 35 each, maybe a little less. And, just glad that happened because I got it to play Black Yellow Luffy. I've never liked the deck. I had it, sold it, decided to give it another try, so I ended up buying alt Hioris and alt Flampes for that reason. Didn't like the deck again. I just don't like how it plays. I'm not like a fan of that play style. And as a result, now I have a play set of Flampes for the deck I'm definitely going to play, which is Nami. So, this Brook, what was his high? What was that boy's ceiling? Like 60? Yeah, whoa. Yeah, 62. Yeah, so I mean, this is the black Lucci kind of. This is more of a staple because it's like recurring. It's a recurring effect. Cavendish is a recurring effect. Almost every green deck that runs supernovas is gonna play this card, and it's like a busted effect. This alt is like $50. Uh, the SRs in this set are like expensive. This Brook is still $22. Like, you know, I had a playset of these violas that I sold for like 30 each. I scooped it like kind of at the low, and now she's settled back at her normal price. I've kind of noticed like there's certain price points for certain cards that they always fall back to because the market will kind of tell you like what people are willing to pay and not pay. I really like this art style too for the chopper. Odin Leader, he's kind of trash. No one plays this Hiyori, but she still went up because it's a waifu alt. And Laboon, the rise of Laboon needs to be studied. I think I bought the alt art Laboon. I think I bought this card for like $10. I just bought it because this card is fire with the Brook standing on Laboon. And it just ended up paying off once it became really expensive. uh I just sold it, never used it. It was like a card for the binder. Went through all my play sets, all the Laboons, took them out, sold them. That's kind of how you got to do it. But the star of this set for me is Kid and Killer. Again, this is like a painting that belongs in the Renaissance French Museum, right? Like these two, and that it's such a cool card. I think this card is so undervalued. Uh, it's essentially a 4-drop 7K rusher. I mean, you know, I don't know, ever since Law kind of went out, this card hasn't really found its stride in the sense where it hasn't like really found a new home. But it's just such a fire card. It could be put in any deck. You could run Rush Zoros. This falls into that category of staple, right? Like Rush Zoro, Kid and Killer. Now you have Dragon, but these are just cards that could kind of go into any deck and not hurt you. Like getting a free swing is never gonna hurt you. But that card is like definitely one of my favorites ever in One Piece. And these are just good cards to kind of scoop because if they get leaders or more support, they can kind of like just come back and make you your money back. Flampe, $7, kind of speaks for itself. This card's not even like an SR; it's just a rare, you know. And EBO two, EBO one was very short supplied, so there's just not enough going around of this card. I periodically come back here and see like what card went up and sell it when like from the boxes I ripped, but like there was a point that this was like $10 or something. Let's go back further. Go back further. Yeah, this card was like no, wait, that's zero items. It was a $5 card. I could have sworn it was more, but there was a point where it was like an expensive card, and this is like one of those cards that you get a bunch of when you're ripping packs, and yeah, you just get your money back a little bit. But it's good to periodically come back here and check. So we've reached the 30-minute mark, and we only got through 6 of the sets. So I guess we'll do the rest next time. I could just do a part 2 or something, and you guys could kind of let me know what elements of the market you guys want to talk about. I could kind of brush up on those. But yeah, I would say the state of the game in conclusion is very, very, very healthy, very bullish, very healthy. And, with all these announcements of cards that are, just adding support or giving you new leaders, and cards that are making other cards go up, they're adding a lot of value to the game right now, and you could tell that they have a long-term vision. I think a lot of players from other TCGs also switch over into One Piece for the sake of the prizing. So, One Piece is a legacy brand, and they're going to treat it with care. Hopefully they kind of just start playtesting a little bit more, or looking through their cards a little bit more to avoid like ban list problems, or having like this is a recurring theme, like one leader will really take over the meta. But it kind of happens in every card game. It's very hard to avoid. Overall, state of affairs is good. So I'll catch you guys on the next one.